Hey guys, what's up? If you're new around here, my name is Hannah Martin. Today I'm going to be doing a video about how to stay motivated. I have had so many DMs and messages asking, Hannah, how do you stay so motivated? I've got to be honest with you, I'm not always motivated. I don't always wake up feeling like ready for the day and ready to push myself to my limits. Even the most motivated people don't feel motivated all of the time. So today I'm going to kind of deep dive into some tips that I have found helpful in getting me motivated when I don't feel motivated whatsoever. This is just tips that work for me. These tips don't work for everyone. Different methods will motivate different people. Take as much as you want from this video and as little as you want from this video. It's totally up to you. But just here are a few things that really help me. Tip number 1. Setting your goals. So for me, I find it so difficult when I don't have a focus or a goal to work towards, because I wake up and I'm like, oh yeah, I should go for a jog. Oh yeah, I probably should train, but why am I doing it? You need to find a purpose, you need to find a goal, and you need to push yourself towards that goal. So I always remember when I was younger, I always wanted to compete at the under 12 rhythmic gymnastics British Championships. I had that goal in mind every moment of the day. If I was finding something difficult, or if I didn't want to do a conditioning exercise, I would think, well, do I want to get to my goal? I wanted it so much, I was willing to push myself that little bit further to achieve it. So set your goals. It doesn't have to be anything big. Like, even if your goal is, oh, I want to try and jog twice a week for a month. Set yourself these goals and it really helps, because you can look back and there's nothing more satisfying than ticking a little box on a goal that you've had for a long time. And it's not something to take lightly. You know, take some time to think about what you want to achieve in life. Don't be scared to dream big. If you don't dream big, you never know how far you can go. Have small goals that you can complete, you know, in a week or in a month, and then have big long-term goals that you want to complete in a year's time, or 2 years, or 3 years, or 4 or 10 years. Setting these little goals are good for the now, to keep you motivated now, and then the big goals are the things you're working towards. So all these little goals add up to the big goal in the end. Tip number 2. Set a plan to get to your goal. The planning is something that I do every single week. I make sure I set myself what I do every day, almost hour by the hour. So if I'm ever lost at like, oh my gosh, I have this time and I don't know what to do with it, I'll look at my timetable and be like, oh no, I've got this to do, this to do, and this to do. I've already got it planned, and then all I have to do is push myself to do it. So I think if I have a plan, it's 10 times more likely that I'm gonna actually do what I want to do in a day. Whereas if I don't have a plan, I can kind of be a little bit like, oh, I can do that later, oh, I can do that later, and then it never happens. So setting a plan, super important. Plenty of resources online that you can find how to structure your day, and some people might need a bit more flexibility in their plan than others, and that's totally okay. It's totally up to you how you want to plan it, but all I can say is plans are pretty essential if you really want to reach those goals. Number 3, maybe slightly controversial, but I think it's important. Remove some distractions. So for me, social media is a massive distraction. I find that, you know, when I'm trying to work, I'll just quickly check Instagram, and then I've been scrolling for the last 20 minutes. Then I forget exactly what I'm doing. And then it's so much harder to get myself motivated again to do what I was doing in the first place. But I find if I keep on scrolling, I get more and more demotivated, because I'm like wasting time. And I find the more I waste time, the more I want to waste time, because the less productive you are, the less productive you want to be. Not always, I mean, rest is important, but I find if I've been super unproductive in a day, there's not much likelihood that I'll be wanting to do anything else. Another thing about social media that I find, if there's accounts that make you feel inadequate or make you feel like you're never gonna reach your goal, maybe it's a good idea to unfollow them for a bit. You don't owe them anything, and in the end, you're choosing to look at something that you know is actively demotivating you as a person. Doing a little bit of spring cleaning in your social media would not be a bad idea. Definitely have done that before. Accounts that have made me feel inferior or inadequate. It's good to have role models, it's good to have people that inspire you, but if there are accounts that are making you feel bad about yourself, or bad about your body, or bad about how you look, maybe it's a good idea just to unfollow them for a bit, so that you're actively looking at things that inspire you and motivate you and not just tear you down. Tip number 4, and I cannot stress this enough, you need to sleep. If I have not had a good night's sleep, often I won't feel very motivated the next morning. So make sure you get to bed at a decent time, have good solid hours of sleep. One physio said to me, don't quote me on this because I'm not a scientist or a physiotherapist or anything like that, but sleep is where your body repairs itself. So you've done all this training and you're tired, your muscles are tired, but when you're sleeping, that's when your body kind of takes all the information that you've put in it and it processes it. So if you're not giving it time to process, then all the training that you're doing, it's not going to have time to get in your body. I advise you to try and get as much sleep as possible. They do recommend kind of 7 to 10 hours, but again, everyone varies how much sleep they need, but I would recommend trying to get as much as you can around your busy training schedule. Number 5, and again, another pretty obvious one, eat well. Eating well is so important so that your energy levels are good to go when you wake up. You're ready for the day. I find if I eat a load of rubbish, then I feel rubbish. And then I don't want to do anything. I don't want to be productive. I don't feel motivated. I just feel flat and wanting to nap and sleep all the time because my body is trying to process all these junk foods. So if you eat healthy, eat fresh vegetables, fruit. Again, I'm not a nutritionist, so again, it does depend on each individual, but if you're fueling yourself with the correct stuff, then you're going to be able to do more. I always feel better when I've eaten better. Like, I feel better emotionally, physically. It's like going in a car that runs on petrol and you fill it with diesel. It's not going to work. But if you fill a car with the proper fuel, then it will go. So kind of take that idea. If you're fueling yourself with the right nutrients, then you're gonna feel so much more ready to do the work that you want your body to do. Number 6, assess your progress. So I know sometimes you set these goals and you're working so hard towards them, but because you're working with yourself every day, you don't notice the progress that you're making. Have some way of tracking your progress. For me, when I started jogging, I found a 5k run almost impossible. I was really struggling to run that distance because I'd never run it before. I remember the first time I ran it, my legs the next day hurt like crazy. So I brought it back a bit and I started doing more like 2 and 3k runs with little rests in between. I did that for a few weeks, and then by about the 4th week of doing that, I was able to do a full 5k run with no stops, and my muscles didn't hurt nearly as much as they did at the beginning. That was a great way I could track my progress. Now that I'm doing 5k runs consistently, I track how fast I do each time so I can see if I'm getting faster. Also, like with my ballet, I film my pirouettes. Filming yourself is a really great way where you can assess your technique, see if you're improving. I like to practice a lot of turns, so sometimes I'll set the camera up and I can see if my technique's got better over the last few weeks, because I can refer back to the video from a couple of months ago and be like, wow, I've really improved. I'm able to do more turns, I'm more pulled up on my leg. So assessing is really important to progressing. At number 7, the one I struggle with personally the most is resting. If you don't rest, you're not gonna have enough oomph and push to motivate yourself to do more. Resting is so important. It's how my body works. I definitely need at least 1 day off a week just to recoup, to process everything that I've learned and grown in the week. Give my body just that time to breathe before pushing it again the next week. I can't stress it enough to myself. I need to remember sometimes. I'm finding ways that you can rest effectively. So I remember I was like, oh, I'm resting, and I was making like 5 YouTube videos on my day off. Is this really effectively resting? Because Sundays are my day off. I do like 5 videos on the Sunday, and then I come to the Monday and I'd be waking up for my jog and not feel like I've had a minute of rest at all the previous day. And I was like, oh, I didn't do any training, but my brain was still working on ways like, making videos, editing. So sometimes you do just need to learn how to rest. I'm still learning, like maybe reading a book. I think sometimes social media can be so in your face all the time, and you're scrolling on Instagram, you're sitting, your body is physically resting, but you're taking in so much information that sometimes my brain can't even cope with how much I'm taking in. So sometimes it's maybe good just to shut that off for a bit, spend some time with your family, read a book, go for a walk. Mind and body work together. So you need to make sure you're resting your mind just as much as you're resting your body. So guys, these are just a few tips that I find super helpful for me. Again, let me know down in the comments below if you found any of these helpful and if you've applied them, if they made any difference to your life. I'd love to hear your story. Again, this is a community of motivators, and if you would like to join this community, make sure to click the subscribe button to become a motivator. And yeah, I hope to see you in my next video. Stay motivated and dream big. Make it happen.